All right. So, again, for those of you that are new, just say hello in the chat. My name is Art, along with my wife, Aisha. We have been real estate investors for about 27, 28 years, have been doing a lot of different stuff with real estate, and we have made a ton of mistakes, and we've also made some really good money. So we're going to talk about that. All right, so let's get going, guys. I'm glad you made it to this call. Today, we're going to be talking about making $100,000 with real estate in 2025 from scratch without wholesaling. So, if you are a wholesaler, this might change your business model. So, let's get into it and get started. Okay. So, how you can hit $100,000 in the next 12 months, even if starting from zero, even if you're starting from zero. Okay. So, first of all, no wholesaling. You're not going to have to deal with tenants. You're not going to have to deal with rehabbers, and you're not going to have to deal with contractors. How does that sound? If you dealt with anything in real estate, those are usually the issues that we have: wholesaling, tenants, rehabs, and contractors. None of that is required for what I'm about to show you. Next, you don't need to quit your job or become a full-time investor. Keep your job security until you absolutely don't need it anymore. Then you can let it go, but keep it until you're ready to go. This does not require you to make a huge life-changing event until you know that this works for you. Okay? The path to do this is simpler and faster than you think. A lot of people think when you're getting into real estate, you got to do all this crazy stuff and you got to become obsessed with calling people and making all these calls. That is not necessary, and it's actually easier than you think. And I'm going to break this down for you today. Buy and sell properties quickly. Now, in the past, I said we buy on Friday and we're ready to sell by Monday. And that is true. We are ready to sell by Monday. But what I'm going to change about this is I'm going to show you, I'm going to talk off script a little bit today, and I'm going to show you how we can buy on Friday and we can sell by Monday, actually have it sold by Monday. So pay attention. That is why I said what we're about to talk about. No one else is offering this. No one else is doing this. So just pay attention and follow along. Okay. Tonight, we'll show you how to hit your six-figure goals in 2025, how you can hit this goal in 2025. All right, so this is going to make a huge difference. Now, why we had to find a different way to invest. This is my wife, Aisha, and I. This was us a couple of years ago at one of our closings. Surprisingly, it's only the only picture I have with us at a closing. We don't usually take pictures at closings, but they sold us on taking a picture because we were making fun of their sign. We got tired of chasing wholesale leads that flaked and fizzled. If you've ever done wholesaling, you know how deals can be very shaky with wholesale. You know, you put it under contract and then the buyer ends up trying to get in touch with the seller directly and they end up cutting you out of the deal. Even if not, you don't find a buyer, then that cuts you out of the deal. Wholesaling is flaky and very easy to fall apart. That's why we got away from it. We did wholesaling for about a year or two before we stopped doing it altogether. Flipping houses was too risky and time consuming. It is hard to buy a house, put 40 or $50,000 into fixing it up, and then hopefully the market has not changed by the time you sell the house and you can still realize a profit. Plus, if you've ever flipped a house, a lot of times the buyers that you're dealing with are very picky when you have a very nice house. They want to see the best of everything. They got good credit, they've got good income. They know that they have what they need, so they can be very difficult with you. So that's kind of something that it's not that it's bad. It's just something that we really didn't want to deal with. So it's not really our cup of tea. Okay. We hated dealing with bad tenants and maintenance calls. We were landlords for about 20 years. Hated being landlords because it was just a headache. We had at one point when we first started, we bought 36 houses in 3 years and we made some money, but it was hard. We earned every dollar we made. So it was not what we prefer. So that's not what we wanted to stay with. Next, we wanted a path that was scalable, repeatable, and stress-free. Now, I'm not going to say, I say stress-free here, and I'm not going to tell you that there is no stress in this. There's no business that has no stress, but the stress does not have to come from the actual deals. A lot of times it comes from dealing with employees or dealing with financing companies sometimes, but it's a lot less stressful. I'll say that, and that's the truth, that this process is a lot less stressful. That's how Quick Turn, our process, was born. And it changed everything. We started looking at other ways to make money in real estate. It made a huge difference. And now we've got this new thing that I'm about to show you tonight and talk about that will change even that. So the one thing you must believe to make this work, let's talk about that. Crystal, great. You're listening while driving. Very good. At least you're listening and not watching. All right. Number one, you don't need to wholesale to make six figures. Now, I know there are some of you guys that are probably trying wholesaling, or maybe you tried it in the past. I'm a big believer in doing something that's more stable. You can't build a business on unstable, shaky deals, and you don't inconsistent deals. You need consistent deals to make six figures in this business. The real money is in owning and controlling deals, not just flipping the paper. Okay, does that make sense? The real money is in actually owning and controlling the deal. They can't cut you out if you own the property. Does that make sense? That is a huge benefit. I know everybody says it's easy and cheap to flip paper, but it's not as stable. And that's what we want. We want consistent money. That's our goal. If you can find the right properties and structure them correctly, you win. And I'm going to break down how we find the right properties, and then we structure them where our profit is built into the deal from day one. So we don't have to figure it out. We don't have to guess what we're going to get. We know our numbers from day one. Confidence and a proven step by step system is the shortcut. That is the shortcut to winning this and doing it successfully. A step by step system. Okay. And I'm going to show you that in a second. Believe this, if I follow the right system, I can hit $100,000 fast. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you about $100,000 and what we do. Typically, across all the deals we've done, across all of our students, 100, our average deal profit, what we actually make is usually $35,000 or better. That's the average. Now, some students have made 100,000, 150,000, 80,000, 75,000 on a single deal. But if I were looking at it on average, about $35,000 is our average profit per deal. So typically with what we do, you can get to $100,000 with between one and about four deals. So if you can do between one and four deals in a year, you should be able to hit $100,000 or better. And I'm going to show you that process and what it looks like and why that's not hard to get to. Okay. So what actually gets you to $100,000? Let's talk about that really quickly. The three key ingredients to a six-figure year in real estate. Okay, let's talk about what this looks like. One is finding deals with built-in equity and motivated sellers. Now, let me say this about motivated sellers. I'll give you my quick motivated seller speech. Everybody that teaches real estate and teaches how to do wholesale and stuff like that, they all say that you should find motivated sellers. How many of you all have heard that? Let me know in the chat if you've heard find motivated sellers. If you can find motivated sellers, you'll win. I am a big believer in not finding motivated sellers. Okay. I don't think you should look for motivated sellers. I don't think that's the way to win in this business. What you should be looking for instead is equity. If you look for equity, equity is the value that the person that sells the house owns. So if the house is worth 100,000 and they owe $10,000, they have $90,000 in equity. Yes, motivated equity, Roy, exactly. So what you do is you go after equity first, and then you let them know that you're buying property. Then the people that are motivated will raise their hand. Does that make sense? They will raise their hand and say, hey, I want to sell. Look at it this way. Would you rather get 100 phone calls in of people saying they want to buy their house, they want to sell a house, but then some of them they don't have equity, they don't have, so Ronald said, let me explain. Think about it this way. Most people are used to doing stuff like cold calling or putting out bandit signs or some talking to people that have expired listings and all that kind of stuff. That kind of stuff can eventually get you to a deal, possibly, but you need consistency. Consistency is what will let you leave your job and do this exclusively. Consistency is what will let you hit $100,000 and beyond. Our first year, we hit $870,000 in profit. In profit. Okay, that's what it's a different model because it's consistency. And the way you get consistency is changing what you're looking for. Do not look for motivated sellers. Look for people with equity. Okay, people with equity are the people you want to target. Once you know they have equity, then you market to them or you get them to call you. And when they do, you see if they're motivated. Now I have motivated equity. People that are motivated to sell and their house has equity. It will change your business, and it makes it so much easier than calling 600 people just for two people to say, yeah, I'll talk to you, and then to find out those two people don't have equity. Okay, I know this is a little bit different, but stick with me. All right, control the deal without managing renovations or tenants. We should not have to renovate. If you find motivated equity, you don't have to manage renovations. You don't have to deal with tenants. You don't have to deal with a lot of that stuff, and you can just make the money. That is what we are here for, to make the money. Next, we're going to use simple financing strategies to profit with little money out of pocket. You do not have to spend a crap ton of money to renovate a property, to get into. You don't have to do all of that if you find the right deal. Finding the right deal on a consistent basis will keep you with money in your pocket. All this other stuff, fixing up properties, dealing with tenants, trying to find motivated sellers, all of that stuff is not necessary. Okay, it just doesn't make a difference. Next, you want to build a repeatable process that works over and over again. So you're doing this over and over again, the same thing over and over again. And that is what's going to make you wealthy off of this. That's what's going to hit you 100,000 and beyond in a year. Now, I know there's some people on this call that are doubting me and saying, I don't think I can hit $100,000. And I want to address that. The last thing I want to say before I get into that is learn how to talk to sellers, learn how to talk to buyers. And a lot of times we don't even need buyers the way you're thinking, but you do have to learn how to talk to lenders the right way. Okay. So let's go over how quick turn works exactly, because I know somebody's going to say, I don't get it. And what are you doing differently? Let's talk about it. The quick turn method, we have an attitude. Yes, rinse and repeat, Roy. Very good. We have our ideology is to buy Friday, ready to sell on Monday. Okay. We want to buy it and get out of it quickly. If you do that, a couple of things happen. One, the market doesn't get a chance to change. Two, because you don't have to drive to Home Depot every weekend and get stuff to fix up with the contractor, you can focus on doing more deals. You can focus on the skills and the things that matter. Does that make sense? Three, if you do it this way, you will make more money because you won't care about one particular property. You'll end up buying more than one property and steadily buying and selling. It builds a business. Okay. We identify deals others overlook using public data. People are looking for. All right. So, again, for those of you that are new, just say hello in the chat. My name is Art, along with my wife, Aisha. We have been real estate investors for about 27, 28 years, have been doing a lot of different stuff here. You should be able to hit fixing up properties, dealing with tenants, trying to find motivated sellers. All of that stuff is not necessary. Okay. It just doesn't make a difference. Next, you want to build a repeatable process that works over and over again. So you're doing this over and over again, the same thing over and over again. And that is what's going to make you wealthy off of this. That's what's going to hit you 100,000 and beyond in a year. Now, I know there's some people on this call that are doubting me and saying, I don't think I can hit $100,000. And I want to address that. The last thing I want to say before I get into that is learn how to talk to sellers, learn how to talk to buyers. And a lot of times we don't even need buyers the way you're thinking, but you do have to learn how to talk to lenders the right way. Okay. So let's go over how quick turn works exactly, because I know somebody's going to say, I don't get it. And what are you doing differently? Let's talk about it. The quick turn method, we have an attitude. Yes, rinse and repeat, Roy. Very good. We have our ideology is to buy Friday, ready to sell on Monday. Okay. We want to buy it and get out of it quickly. If you do that, a couple of things happen. One, the market doesn't get a chance to change. Two, because you don't have to drive to Home Depot every weekend and get stuff to fix up with the contractor, you can focus on doing more deals. You can focus on the skills and the things that matter. Does that make sense? Three, if you do it this way, you will make more money because you won't care about one particular property. You'll end up buying more than one property and steadily buying and selling. It builds a business. Okay. We identify deals others overlook using public data. People are looking for motivated sellers. What are most of you all taught? You're taught to drive for dollars, to go out and look for places where the grass isn't cut and it looks like it's abandoned, and then reach out and find the owner. We don't do any of that. You're taught to look for foreclosures, get a list of foreclosures and call those people. If you've ever dealt with people dealing with foreclosure or tax liens or city code violations, if you try to reach out to those people, a lot of times they're not trying to get rid of their house, they're trying to save their house. So it's going to limit your success. We don't look for any of that. We look for the one thing that makes us money today, which is equity. Okay. And we're going to use public data to do that. Next, we're going to negotiate like a partner, not a predator. We do not have to sound mean. We don't have to beat them up on price. We have a friendly negotiation framework that we use. It works very well to easily negotiate with people. And by the time we finish a call, people are happy to talk to us. They're happy to deal with us. And a lot of times they're thanking us because we don't sound like everybody else. We use mostly bank money or sometimes owner financing, not your savings. A lot of times people think they have to spend all of their savings to get into real estate. That's not the case. And once you get that past that first deal, you're going to be able to do more deals using the money you made from the business. The business is going to fund itself, if that makes sense. Exit the deal to retail buyers. In other words, everybody. How many of you guys keep a buyer's list or you've been taught to get a buyer's list? Let me know in the chat if that's something you thought that you needed to do. You need to get a list of cash buyers, people that can buy your properties quickly. And maybe you've got 10 or 20 or even 30 people, or maybe you got a huge list, or maybe wherever you learned about the list, they told you they have a list of buyers and you got their list. And now you got 150 people that are cash buyers. Why would you ever want to limit who can buy your property? Think about that for a second. In an open market, we can buy and sell to anybody and everybody, and we get the best profit because everybody's looking at it. Why then would I get a list of just cash buyers and say only these people can buy my property? That doesn't make sense. We don't sell to cash buyers. We sell to anybody and everybody that makes sense. Okay? Exit the deal to retail buyers and investors, and with our profits built into the deal. We don't fight with them on price. We don't have to negotiate with them very hard. We make our money buying the deal. We realize our money when we sell the deal. Okay? The whole process can happen in as little as 7 to 21 days. Now, I know you're thinking, what? Yes, you can buy the property and have it ready for sale and hopefully have a buyer in about 7 to 21 days if you follow this process. Now, let's say it doesn't happen in 21 days. Let's say you did everything right, and it does not sell in 21 days. Does that mean you lost? No, let's say it takes 35 days. Let's say it took 40 days. Are you still at a loss to get a $35,000 or better check in 7 to 21 days or 45 days? This is a process that will keep you making money, and especially if you follow it as a business model and you're constantly buying, constantly selling. Okay? Did I lose you guys? Is this making sense to you all, or am I just completely all over the place? Because I'm trying to keep it together for you all. Let me know in the chat if this is making sense or if it's a kind of, if I'm going too fast, because I kind of go through this fast. All right? So, okay, good. Thank you. I'm glad it's making sense to somebody. So, here's the thing. Let's talk about a case study. This is Yolanda. Yolanda is one of our students, and she did a $134,000 deal on her very first deal. Okay? So let's talk about Yolanda and her deal. Let's see how this looks. Yolanda was a government worker, and she did contracts with government workers, and she did the first deal. She made $134,000, and she did not wholesale it. Not only did she not wholesale it, she just followed our system. Let's talk about what she did. She followed our step-by-step system. She had no real estate investment experience. She had never invested and bought a property before. In fact, when she signed up with us, her son said, I don't think you should do this. I'm going to buy a rental property, and I think you should buy rental properties with me. She decided to work with us, and I'll show you what happened at the end. She found 3 properties on her first time out the door. She found 3 properties, and she used our seller script to talk to a seller, and she used our contract to put together a deal. The best thing about this is that she used our owner financing strategy to avoid cash out of pocket. So she didn't have to come off of $1 to buy these properties. She didn't have to come off of any cash. She used owner financing, and she used it the way we did it. And let me give you another example with owner financing. She did it with 0% interest and no payments. So I know somebody's going to say, but I can't afford the payment. She did her deal, 3 properties with 0% interest and no payments for the time that she held the properties. Okay. She closed all 3 properties and made over $130,000 in less than 90 days. Now, I know I said 7 to 21 days, but it took her 90 days. So for some of you guys, that may not work. But if $134,000 in 90 days would work for you, then this is something you should probably pay attention to. Now, this is Yolanda's story. This does not happen every time. It does, and it doesn't need to happen every time. I've got other students that have made 50,000, 70,000, 80,000. It doesn't have to happen every time like this, but this is just an example of what it can look like when you follow this process. Now she's building a business and she's not chasing deals. She didn't do any cold calling. She didn't do any bandit signs. She didn't drive for dollars. And she was able to do this successfully and close the deal in about 90 days. Okay. So let's talk about some common mistakes new investors make. So when you're getting into this, what are some of the common mistakes that come up? Number one, what's actually slowing you down right now? A lot of times, what I see with people, one, waiting for the perfect deal without knowing what that looks like. A lot of people say they're waiting for that perfect deal to come along. They're waiting to get into something, but they don't even know what the perfect deal is. And a part of that is not having the right strategy. I talk to people on the phone all the time and they say, "Oh, I'm going to rent a property out and then this maybe I'll rehab it or maybe I'm going to quickly wholesale it." You cannot have 16 different strategies. Well, I take that back. You can have 16 different strategies, but those 16 different strategies aren't going to necessarily help you win in this business. You need to have one way that you do business, and it will make a world of difference to you. Okay? Next, spending months learning but never making offers. How many of you all are enrolled in YouTube University and you are watching every video that comes out? You're getting on every free call that you can, and you have done absolutely nothing, and you've been working at it for months. Listen, this is a business. You have to take the first steps. You have to step out on faith. And here's the thing. Here's why I don't want you to worry about getting into the wrong program, because that's what people will say. Well, I don't want to get into the wrong program. Talk to the people that you are considering, whether it's working with us or not. I'm a big push where if we're not the right fit for you, because we're not for everybody, that's fine. Talk to the right people, ask questions, find out what they are offering, what they will do, how involved will they be with you once you get working with them. We work with our students very closely. We work with them so that they build a business while they're doing their first deal. We work with them while they're doing their fourth deal. Find out what they're offering and how they will help you and get with them. Listen, YouTube does this. It's a primer. That's what YouTube is. YouTube is meant to get you excited about something. It's meant to tell you just enough to make you feel like you should take an investment, but it will never tell you how to do it. They don't. Even the people that tell you something and it sounds like how to do it, they are telling you the overview. They're not telling you the detailed parts. Think of it like this. If I were to tell you how to play basketball and I did a video and I said, all you got to do is dribble the ball, bounce it up and down, and then put it over there in a little circle right there, and you can make millions. Michael Jordan does it. Just because you know the process doesn't mean you're going to be Michael Jordan. You have to get in the thick of it and actually do the business. That is the only way. You have to start and make mistakes. And the mentorship, the help can help you avoid costly mistakes, but you will not make money until you start. And I know there are people that are saying, I can do this on YouTube. You can. It's just going to cost you more money than a training or a mentorship. And you say, how's that going to cost me more money? Because the mistakes oftentimes cost way more than the actual training. Think about that. If you pay, let's say you were to pay $10,000 for a training, or you were to go do it alone, and the alone mistake cost you a $50,000 mortgage that got foreclosed on. Would that have been worth it because you did it alone and you got into a $50,000 mortgage mistake? Or would it have been better just to pay the $10,000? Either way, you're going to pay. It's just a matter of how much and when you're going to pay it. Okay? Trying stuff without a system to find consistent high quality deals. That is another way people mess up. They say, I find deals from my realtor. They bring them to me every once in a while, or people know me in the area and they give me deals. That is not consistency. You cannot build a business without consistency. Think of it this way. If I were to tell you that here's a deal, you'll make $50,000 on that deal. That's great. You made $50,000. The problem is, when are you getting your next deal? When are you going to make your next $50,000? How do you spend that $50,000? You don't know if you can spend it quickly, if you got to save it for a long time. You don't know. You've got to do this in a way that brings consistency. Does that make sense? It's no cutting corners. There are no cutting corners in this. I want you guys to understand that. And I'm not talking from us. I'm talking to you from what actually makes sense. Jumping from course to course without a full plan. If they are teaching you 16 different ways to make money, that is not the course for you. You need one way. Get good at one way. You know how people say, you ever heard somebody say millionaires have multiple streams of income? What they don't tell you about that is that they usually made their money from one way and then they use that to purchase additional ways later. You've got to find a consistent way. Not having a mentor or system to follow. I just explained how not having a mentor will cost you money more, usually more than the mentor, because of the mistakes that you inevitably will make. And I've been guilty of it myself. I've made mistakes with a mentor and without a mentor. When I got the mentor, there are things that I avoided that helped me a lot. All right, what to do instead? Let's talk about that. Follow a real system with a real outcome, actual outcome that matters, a proven process. For example, we show you how to build a marketing funnel. That is one of the things that we do in our process. We show you how to get people consistently calling you saying, I want to sell my house. And not just anybody, people that have high equity deals. How hard is it to put together a deal when they have a lot of equity? Not very hard. Two, talk to sellers the right way using our negotiation strategy. We're going to show you exactly what to do, how to negotiate, how to talk to sellers, and get them to admit to you what they want to sell their house for without you giving them a number. That is huge. And you do that because of negotiation. And it doesn't matter if you've never negotiated before, we will show you exactly how to do that. Three, submit offers that build in profit and flexibility. You should know how much you should make when you buy the property. You should be buying the property saying, this property is going to make me $70,000. This property is going to make me $30,000. This property is going to make me $100,000. If you can't do that when you buy, you probably shouldn't buy that property. Next, exit quickly with built-in financing partners. You need financing people in place. You do not need to figure out financing once you get started. You're running the risk of messing up a deal or costing yourself major money. You don't want to be under the gun when this stuff is happening. You don't want to be, I got 2 days to find it in, and in financing, or else I'm going to be in trouble. Rinse and repeat. This is how you hit six figures. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of extra information really quick before we go forward about, I told you there will be something on this that nobody knows or talks about. We have a program, a new service that we are rolling out, and it's called Land Trust X. Land, Land, Trust, Trust, Land Trust X. You can go to the website, it's landtrustx.com. Just a side note, if you check out this service, Land Trust X, what it does is it allows you to sell your property in shares. So if you buy property, and there's a whole training in Land Trust X about this, if you buy property, you can turn around and immediately sell that property and sell it in pieces. So you can sell off 20% or 50% or 100% of the property. It doesn't matter, but it allows you to sell shares of your property. And why that's important is because of a few things. One, it is instant. So you could sell some of the property. Imagine saying, I want to sell $20,000 of my property, and you sell $20,000 of your property, and you can do it as simply as going on your phone, pressing up a couple of buttons, and then you'll have the 20,000. And then you would have gotten the money in a few minutes deposited directly into your bank account. No closing. You don't have any closing fees, and you sold off a piece of the property. Now, I know that sounds different, but this is how you will be able to buy on Friday and sell on Monday. To be honest with you, you could buy on Friday and sell on Saturday. So it's very fast, and it's a really good way that is completely unheard of. We are rolling it out. There's a lot to it, but it's something that you can take a look at. It's called landtrustx.com, and it's a new way to sell property. You don't have to find buyers. You don't have to do showings. You can sell your property almost instantly. Now, you can even sell it and keep part of it, so when it's rented out, you could have some of the rental income, but you sold it and got all of your money or a lot of your money that you wanted to get out of the property, if that makes sense. This is a huge deal. It is a new service. It is offered nowhere else in the United States, and it's called Land Trust X, allowing you to sell shares of a property. So if you get a chance, check it out. And it's something that will change the way real estate investing is done. We did a whole webinar on how this works, how you can use it as an investor, and it's going to make the next millionaires very quickly in real estate because people will be rushing to put property into this program and then sell it off in pieces. Imagine if you could sell, remember how I said you don't want to have a buyer's list? Imagine if you could sell not to the people in your area, but to anybody in the entire United States. What would that do for your business and selling your property quickly? You sell it in seconds. Okay, sell it in seconds. It's called Land Trust X. Check it out. I'll go into more on it, but that's not for this call. So let's talk about now your mindset and why that matters. What does your mindset have to do with it? The $100,000 year starts in your head first. Okay, you have to let go of some of the. I know people are listening to this and you're skeptical. You're like, oh, this sounds like something else. I'm telling you, you have to change your mindset and you have to let go. One way or another, you're going to pay. Your job taught you how to work, but not how to earn. And that's important. You need to learn how to earn for yourself because your job does not care and you can be replaced very easily. When you learn how to earn, you are in charge of your fate. And we all want that. Win or lose, we all want to be in charge of our own fate. $100,000 is possible with the system and support, not hustle. Somebody telling you a hustle mentality is how you can make a check. You can make a check with a hustle mentality. That is not what we are looking for. We are looking for a proven, sustainable, consistent, and I use that word a lot, business. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay, that's what we're looking for. You're not too late. Somebody on this is thinking, I'm too old. This isn't for me. You are not too late. You're right on time. There's an old saying, the best time to start a business is 20 years ago. The second best time is right now. Okay? There is no too late. This does not take forever. You just have to start. The only thing missing is the right path and the right help. Think about that. That's all that's missing for you to change your life. Yolanda, I told you about Yolanda. When she started, you couldn't have told her she was going to make $134,000 in a couple of months. She would not have believed it. And yet she did what it was. She didn't ask questions. She just went forward and she was successful. Okay? So it's possible. That's exactly what Quick Turn was built for. Quick Turn is an all-in-one business in a box. It is to show you how to run a successful, consistent business in a box. Everything is included. So what happens if you don't change? You'll be in the same spot next year if you don't decide today. If you don't do something today, you'll still be watching others win from the sidelines. I know you've seen videos and talked to people, and people are making money in real estate, and you're just on the sidelines. You're still unsure of what steps to take next. You're trying to get it from YouTube University. It's not giving you the money, or it's not showing you the money and getting you to where you want to be. You're still relying on job income and praying for retirement. This is not the way to live. You're still piecing together strategies that don't fit. That's actually very dangerous when you piece together strategies because you end up with a broken thing. You don't want to piece together strategies. You want to have a full strategy from A to Z. You don't need to figure this out alone. That's the biggest thing I tell people. This is not something you have to figure out alone. You can do this with a team, with support. It's not impossible. So the next step is setting up an investor readiness call, And I'm going to put a link in the chat. This is to set up an investor readiness call. Let's talk about what that is exactly. An investor readiness call. If you're ready to hit $100,000 in 2025, this is the move for you. Let's make it happen. We're opening a few spots this week to speak on one-on-one. Now, I will be completely transparent and honest. We fill up most of our investor readiness calls the week before the week they are actually happening. We are doing this call now to fill up the last few spots we have left for this week. If you go to this, it'll ask you some questions, and you go to this link, it'll ask you some questions about setting up an investor readiness call. And if you qualify, then you will get through to set up a call and you'll do a one-on-one. Just pick the soonest spot available because they are filling up fast. This is not a sales pitch. I want to say that to you so you clearly hear me. We don't have to do a sales pitch. We give you facts and we have a strategy session with you to talk about your goals, where you want to be, and if what we do can help you. It's not a sales pitch. We are not going to sell you anything on the call, okay? We'll walk you through your numbers, your goals, and your next steps to hit those numbers. Does that make sense? Are you guys following along? That's what we do on the call. It's not, like I said, it's not a sales pitch. It is to actually get you through and see the steps and walk you step by step. If you're a fit, we'll show you how to work with us and start your first deal and get going. You got to start. YouTube University is not going to do it for you. And I know people are saying, I'm going to learn from YouTube. You've been working on YouTube for 3 years. It's not there. There's enough to piece together what you think is it, but thinking it's it and doing what it actually is are two different things. Here's the link again. This quickturnre.com/direct investor call. I put it in the chat. In that call, you can set up a call. It takes a few minutes, and then we'll talk to you. We'll have a real honest conversation, okay? So let's recap really quick what we've gone over because some of you came in late. Here's what we covered. Why wholesaling is not your best path to $100,000, especially in this environment. There's a lot of risk with wholesaling. A lot of states are outlawing wholesaling in total because it hurts people and it's something that people that don't know how to do it right. I don't suggest wholesaling. We don't do wholesaling. The three key steps to building a six-figure real estate plan in 2025. We went over that and what the three steps are, okay? Real examples of people doing it without full-time hustle. This was something that Yolanda did part-time. This is something that a lot of our students do part-time. And then when they're ready, they make the decision to leave their 9 to 5 and do this full-time. But you do that after I put it this way. You can easily do this business. You can make your annual income doing a couple of deals. Once you get past your annual income, put a certain amount of money aside and just live like you were living before you did this. And then you can choose if you want to leave your job or you want to stay, but do it after you've got your annual income. The quick turn system and how it works. We talked about how our system works. We even talked about our new platform, Land Trust X, and I'll put that in the chat just if anybody's interested. And listen, you don't have to do anything or pay anything. You can check out landtrustx.com and you can learn more about what this is. Like I said, selling shares of your property, but that's another way for you to learn. And you can sign up for the wait list to join and get into Land Trust X. So we talked about that, and we talked about the quick turn system. We talked about booking your investor readiness call, and let's help you map out your plan. It's not a sales call. It's so we can help you put together a plan and look at what your actual goals are. Okay? And that's the link again, just in case you need it. Does that answer any questions for me? Anybody with questions or anything that I've discussed? I know I went over a lot. Let me shut this thing off, and then I will see if you guys have got questions for me. Any questions that I can answer, write them in the chat or let me know. I'll be happy to answer. Otherwise, we will see you on an investor readiness call. We'll talk to you about what we do and how it can help you. We'll give you, once you sign up for the investor readiness call, we'll give you a couple of videos to take a look at that explain our process in more detail. I tried to be pretty detailed in this call. Was this something you guys were interested in? Is this something that made sense to you? Did all this? Oh, and last thing, for people that came in late, if you came in late on this call, then no worries. We will give you the replay of this call. We will send it to everybody's email. Check your spam folder tomorrow morning. So you will get a replay of this and you can watch the full call again in your email because we've got everybody's email that got on this call because you got on this call. So we'll get you on there. All right. Does that make sense? We'll get you on the call. And if you have no other questions, if this made sense to you, or even if it didn't, let me know in the chat. Just tell me what you thought. I hope you found this helpful. Good. I'm glad you guys found it helpful. Give a round of applause to all of you guys for helping out. So I'm glad you were able to find this beneficial. I'm glad you got something out of it. Hopefully you guys are signing up for your investor readiness calls. I'll put the link in one more time and you can take the spots that are available this week. If there are not any spots left, then you can always sign up for next week and we can talk to you guys about it. Again, I want you guys to win. Now, I will tell you this last little bit of information. A lot of people ask, Art, if you're doing so well and doing this stuff with real estate, why are you teaching or why are you to have a mentorship program? We have an ulterior motive. We actually buy into commercial real estate, large scale commercial real estate. We do strip malls, mobile home units, mobile home parks, or we do self-storage units. And we typically buy into those with investors from our group. So people that work with us. The goal with us is to get you to where you have some excess cash using this to make money in real estate. And then if you decide you can invest with us in commercial real estate. So we are building a network of high net worth individuals that have some cash from possibly from doing this and then go into commercial real estate with us and we invest in large scale commercial real estate. It's a great way to benefit from taxes. It's a great way to make a cash flow, especially a passive cash flow that can actually support your life and everything, things like that. And it's a great way to build up a network of people that are doing the same thing. So we are a community. The people that work with us, it's more than just, hey, you work with us, you got into a program, and now you don't hear from us. We work with you. We want to see you succeed because we want you to invest with us in commercial. I hope that makes sense. I hope you guys got something from this. I'll put up one last time the investor readiness link. You can click on that and get on a call with us and talk to us about your plans. Like I said, it's not a sales pitch. I wish you guys the best. Have a happy night. I'll have a great week. And I will talk to you like, Gloria, I'm glad you got it. I'm glad you got something out of it. No problem. Again, my name is Art. And I look forward to talking with you guys on a call. And as always, happy hunting. See you guys later. Have a great night.